Texas Senator Ted Cruz was the winner in last night's Iowa caucus, beating Donald Trump by about 3 points. However, there were some questions over his use of campaign mailers. Now, turns out that Ben Carson and his campaign are pretty mad at Ted Cruz's campaign for what they call dirty tricks. Now, they claim, Carson's team claims that Ted Cruz's campaign deliberately sent emails to supporters and spread false rumors at caucus sites saying that Ben Carson was dropping out, basically to discourage voters from going to the side of Ben Carson. Hey, you're wasting your vote if you vote for Ben Carson. The guy's going to drop out. Vote for Cruz. Go for Cruz, right? That's sort of what they're alleging, right? Now, Morning Joe host Mika Brzezinski has on Cruz spokesman Rick Taylor, and he's going to ask him about his response to these allegations. Let's take a listen to this.
I have to ask, what with the allegations of, I guess I'll have to say that in quotes, of dirty tricks, the mailers that really seem totally off color in terms of how to win, and also the sort of putting it out there that Ben Carson had dropped out, with your top surrogate even tweeting it. Why do that?
Well, for one, the mailer was modeled after the Iowa Republican Party mailer that got so many Republicans elected in the last cycle, and it was very successful. It was one of many tools we used to persuade people. What I like to tell people is 3 days ago I was in an Uber car, and the guy told me that he wasn't going to caucus, and I said, well, if we were going to caucus, who'd you caucus? Ted Cruz. And so I spent the rest of the trip trying to guilt him into caucusing, and he promised me by the end that he was going to caucus.
Hold on, the mailer, wasn't it very deceptive? I mean, wouldn't you consider that dirty politics if that was done to your candidate?
I could show you lots of mailers that I would consider deceptive, but this was reminding people that it was their obligation and duty to vote, and these are people who don't normally vote that we think would vote for Ted Cruz, and we believe through the follow-up calls we got a lot of those people to say they would vote for Ted Cruz. On the Ben Carson allegation, it's just false. We simply, as a campaign, repeated what Ben Carson had said in his own words. He said after Iowa he was going to go back to Florida for a couple days, and then he was going to go to D.C. to the prayer breakfast. And what that told us was he was not going to New Hampshire.
All right, so he says that wasn't a dirty trick. Look, he was going to go take some time off in Florida. Now, we've reported how, at least I said before, that Ben Carson's not really running a serious campaign. I don't think he's in it to win it. I think that he's in it to go as far as he can to sell books and do speaking fees and arrangements. Nonetheless, here you have Ben Carson's campaign saying, hey man, you're dirty tricks. We're not planning on dropping out. We're going to milk this thing for as far as we can. We're not dropping out. Ted Cruz lied about us. Allegedly. Lied about us and said, yeah, that guy's going to drop out. Vote for Cruz. And that's why, supposedly, Ben Carson was doing so terribly. Now, I've got some other theories on why Ben Carson is doing so terribly, but let's stick with the whole, little kerfuffle going on between these two different campaigns. Now, let's see. According to Carson campaign manager Ed Brookover, he said, look, to have campaigns come out and send emails to their caucus speakers suggesting that Dr. Carson was doing anything but moving forward after tonight is the lowest of low in American politics. Rob Taylor, Iowa State Representative and Carson's Iowa co-chair, said this. This is horseshit. Hey man, you can't get much clearer than that. So maybe there's something here, right? So is it kind of dirty? If you're sending emails out saying that, hey, this guy's going to drop out. Like, imagine if it happened on the Democratic side. Now, what's more likely, I mean, you could do, like, Hillary Clinton, for example, sending emails that Bernie Sanders is going to drop out. Nobody would believe that. But if Bernie Sanders, his campaign, were to send emails saying that, hey, Martin O'Malley is going to drop out, yeah, that would be dirty. And I would have to point out, that is kind of dirty, because it's not true. Now, they didn't do that. Senator Sanders has a lot more respect for Martin O'Malley than apparently Ted Cruz's campaign does to Ben Carson's. So, is it dirty? Sure. But the one thing I've learned about politics is that it's incredibly dirty. And that's, of course, why you got to give a lot of credit to Senator Sanders, who hasn't gotten dirty. He's the one guy who's not running a dirty campaign. Whether it be Republicans or Democrats, they're all running dirty campaigns. But anyway, and as slimy as Ted Cruz is, right, his campaign playing dirty doesn't really surprise me all that much. If it's true, if this is what he has been doing. Now remember, Ted Cruz, he is the anointed one. He is known as the future king of America. I mean, you can't get much more weird than that. And to think that somebody who believes that Ted Cruz is the future king of America, well, wouldn't you play dirty politics for him to make sure he fulfills destiny? I'm just asking questions, right? And see, it's that kind of thinking that should kind of scare the crap out of anybody paying attention. Now, luckily, when it comes to Iowa, Ted Cruz won Iowa, right? And it was fairly close. It certainly wasn't a squeaker like it was on the Democratic side, but it was close enough. Now, whether or not Ted Cruz goes on to win more than just Iowa from here, we don't know. Luckily, at least in the Republican side, a win in Iowa doesn't necessarily mean a win anywhere else, dirty tricks or not.